what Jason said.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, EJ, I don't know if you noticed because you said you can see me when we're doing the countdown, but I was holding up my Bible and I was trying to tell you that I found somewhere that was a wow in the
Oh,
Bible.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What's up? Is it a wow or a what's up?
It is a wow.
So Jason usually says howdy, and he usually joins us from the My Office Help account. But look at that.
Look at that. Live and in color, the real Jason Shadowin.
Well, he usually doesn't join us from the office either, but there he is right there.
12 to
I don't believe you.
away.
Tell him to stick his head in there and say hi.
Yes.
He stuck his head in once already.
I missed it.
We'd love to see his shiny head again.
Oh, now you did it. Here he comes.
All right.
Of course, like Shayna said, we're going to be seeing less and less of Jason as we move forward.
What is that? Oh, I thought it was going to be a that was easy button. Hello.
No button.
No, it was a Christmas present for one of my kids
I love it.
a couple years ago.
All right. So we're going to talk about wow.
Yeah.
How to wow your customers. Shayna's going to be leading it today, and I'm excited about it. And Ginny and I both have scriptures.
Well, I want to know what yours is, because if it's the same one, then it will just be one scripture.
I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, I always think about trying to find a scripture that matches what we're going to talk about. Sometimes I ask ChatGPT, but my priest said, don't go to ChatGPT for spiritual advice. Probably good advice. So I was thinking on my own, like, how did people in the Bible wow somebody? And I thought the best way to wow people was to do miracles. And Jesus did many miracles. So I picked one of his miracles where he even went the extra mile. And that was the wedding at Cana. So he turned water into wine, but he actually turned it into the very best wine and even wowed the people. So I thought I'd read that, if that's okay. Is that the same thing that you were going to read, EJ?
No.
Okay. So this is from John chapter 2. This is verse 1 through 11. So it's a little bit long, but it tells this wowing story. On the third day, there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Now, both Jesus and his disciples were invited to the wedding, and when they ran out of wine, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." Jesus said to her, "Woman, what does your concern have to do with me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Whatever he says to you, do it." Now there are 6 water pots of stone according to the manner of purification of the Jews, containing 20 or 30 gallons apiece. Jesus said to them, "Fill the water pots with water," and they filled them to the brim. And he said to them, "Draw some out now and take it to the master of the feast." And they took it. When the master of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine and did not know where it came from, but the servants who had drawn the water knew, the master of the feast called the bridegroom and said to him, "Every man at the beginning sets out the good wine, and when the guests have well drunk, then the inferior. You have kept the good wine until the last." This beginning of signs Jesus did in Cana of Galilee and manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him.
So you got that off the top shelf.
Yes. So not only did he wow everybody by turning water into wine, he turned it into the very best wine that they could offer and really impressed, on behalf of someone else. So there's a few things that stand out. One, his mother's influence, which is pretty neat. I love that as a mom of a son, especially. It's kind of cool that even though it's our Lord and Savior, his mom still, he listens to his mom, which is kind of cute. But yeah, and then there's obedience there. Even though they didn't know what he was talking about or why he was asking him to do it, they did it anyway. And then the miracle wasn't just for him. It was, he made somebody else look really good. So I think that's a cool perspective too, when we're doing things and going out of the way to wow something. It's kind of fun to not take all the credit and let somebody else shine and create an opportunity for somebody else to be the one that is wowing someone. So all those things
Yeah.
in that story.
A lot of wows.
It is.
A lot
I
of
mean,
love.
Jesus, nobody wows anybody better than Jesus. Let's just be honest.
So, my brain works a little funny sometimes, and sometimes I think of things backwards. And while you're reading that and talking about it, I was thinking, they say the water into wine was Jesus's first miracle, right? It's the 1st one they talk about anyway. But Mama knew that he could do something.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he was practicing at the house, trying to get it right. You think he made Kool-Aid at the house?
Like Superman kind of practiced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man, and like our age is Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire. He had to practice his new skills. Mama knew.
I mean, she knew from
I
conception.
don't think she thought that he was going to go to the store and get some. She knew.
Yeah, she said, do whatever he says to do. You better do it.
Yeah.
Go do it.
Fair enough. Mamas know, I guess. Mamas know everything.
Well, yeah, she sure did know. She
Mine
knew
went
who he was.
my scripture went the other way. Okay. So
Well, let's hear it.
the best
not
way
to know.
All right. So I found the ingredients to how to make Kool-Aid out of water. I'm just kidding. Good morning, Saul.
Oh,
It's the angle of caring. So when I think about what's the best way to have happy customers, it's all about the service. And the best way to serve is to actually care. So it came from that. I got 3 of them here, and then I thought Philippians 2:4. Do not be interested only in your own life, but be interested in the lives of others. Matthew 25:40. Don't you know when you cared for one of the least of these, my little ones, my true brothers and sisters, you demonstrated love for me. And the last one, Proverbs 11:25. A generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. And here's the prayer. Oh Lord, it is easy to become so self-focused that I stop seeing the needs of those you have placed in my care. Help me to be a mature leader who sees the needs of my team and give me discernment in how I respond to those needs. I want to demonstrate love to my team with words and in action. How can you be better? How can you better care for those you lead? So again, this book is prayers and promises for leaders. But if you substitute team for customers, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to serve others is to actually care about them and not be self-centered. If you're doing any of this for your own reasons, then you may not succeed. Myron Golden talks about selling. To be a good salesman, people will either try to sell things that the customer doesn't want or need for their own reasons so that they can get their commission. But the real good salesman will only sell things that the customer actually wants and needs for their reasons. Whatever it is, whatever the customer wants, you just offer what you have that fits what they want or need. And that's how you serve.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into some of our talking points with some of that fits everything that we've said, the scriptures and all that. And today was really truly about how do we wow our customers, and we don't have to have money in the bank. And some of them, you do, if you want to really put everything into place, but not everything you do. So start slow. Like if you don't have money in the bank, there are ways to wow customers without spending a single penny. It's about your actions. So the first one I want to talk about is going the extra mile, discussing importance of exceeding customers' expectations, small, thoughtful gestures. So when we go the extra mile, that doesn't, like I said, it doesn't mean that we're spending a lot of money. It means that we're thinking about even those little tiny small things. In our case, when we had the service company, it was even as small as we, not during the summer, but during the winter, we would keep coloring pages and crayons in the trucks. And they would go to a house and there's a kid there. And the coloring page would be something that had to do with electrical, but it also had our logo on it. And we pass those out. Dog treats. We've kept dog treats in our vehicle. Those were some small things. Of course, we always asked before we gave it to the pets. But what are some other small things that you guys have done in your business that, whether it's small, super small, like for instance, putting dog treats in your truck, or even a little bit larger, that has made you stand out as a company that has gone the extra mile?
Jenny?
I mean, we always talk about leave behinds in our industry. So some of those things are good things to do to wow our customers. So we have like a jar gripper with our logo and contact information, and then it also has a $10 off coupon on it, so they can use it anytime they want to for repeat customers. We do community events often. So one of the favorite things that people appreciate is when we did the 4th of July parade, and also there's an annual event called Trick or Treat in the Street, where all the downtown businesses have candy out and the kids can walk down the street. And there's usually like 2,000 kids that show up. It's a big event. So we do candy for the kids, but we also do treats for the adults, and we do the soap samples, and we staple our business card to it, and we give it to each of the parents that comes by. And people really appreciate that. I didn't realize how well it was going to go over, but they are like, "Oh, wow, thank you." And, we have laundry and dishwasher, and some people don't have dishwashers, so they will prefer the laundry soap. But so we've done a couple of those little kind of things. And then mostly we just try to show up in our community. So we sponsored the dog food for one of our canine officers for a year. We sponsored a first aid kit for them if they're injured in the field. So we took a special interest in one dog in particular and just kind of do everything we can to sponsor that dog. So just little things like that, I think. And, that's not necessarily your customer in the moment, but it shows the community that you care.
Yeah, community events are huge. And sometimes you do have to spend money. Like, for instance, candy is not cheap. But we found a wholesale candy shop in our area. So anytime we did parades or the trunk or treats, we went to that wholesaler and we picked up the flavored Tootsie Pop, like Tootsie Rolls, except the flavored ones. Those are small, very inexpensive, easy to get 1,000 for $5, and that's what we gave out. Or there was a couple things. Halloweens, we actually spent a little bit more. Got the candy apple suckers that had the caramel on it, and everybody got one, but attached to it was a business card. So, EJ, what about you? Is there anything else that you can think of, small things that you have done that has shown that you guys have gone the extra mile?
So when I was thinking about this, I was thinking more like individualized, and I don't want to steal your next thought, but
Well, we can always go into the next thought if it does. So keep going.
one recent thing I did was we had a customer that was an elderly lady. She had just had hip surgery, and her ice maker wasn't working, and we had to order a part. And she was on a walker, and she had the ice in the door, but she also had an ice maker in the freezer. But because of her hip surgery, reaching down to the freezer and opening the door and scooping ice out was a severe pain to her. So, after hearing that, I went out and I went to Walmart and I bought a countertop ice maker. And I filled it up, set it up on her counter, and let her use that until I came back with the parts that I needed to fix the ice maker. There's been a few times I've done something similar to that, uh, but that really shows the care. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just about collecting the money and saying, "Well, I'm sorry, I gotta wait." But what I tell the my team is, we genuinely want to try to solve their problem, even if it's not something that we generally do or something we charge for. We want to find a way to make their day better and solve their problem. So, but I paid like $65 for one of the countertop ice makers. It
Mm.
took me an extra 30 minutes to an hour to do the whole thing, but now I have a countertop ice maker. If it happens again, I just go back to the office and get one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but that made an impact in her when she was in a difficult situation.
Yeah. Dan actually put one in there that is really good, and we've discussed this before. Getting with Finish and getting those soaps that you can actually put your business cards in. So those little packets that you can just give to customers that have just a little extra something that you don't actually have to pay for. So I think that's one really cool thing about the appliance industry that we didn't have in the electrical is those little tiny things that were given to you by these soap companies that you can hand out.
Mhm.
Definitely, and that's a very non-expense
Yeah,
item that you can
free.
do for
Basically
sure.
free. Yeah. Except the
Scrub
business
Daddy.
part. Hey, that's a good idea. Scrub Daddy.
I love Scrub Daddies. Love
So
them.
if you guys didn't see this comment here, I dropped this for you guys, not Shayna and Jenny. If you're watching, share some of the stories that you did. We'd love to
Yeah.
make this more of a conversation than a lecture. Uh, Share your ideas, and heck, maybe more of us can treat our customers as well as you are.
Yeah. So what about the next one, which is what you said sort of rolls into this, is personalizing your personalization in service. So tailoring your services to individual customer needs that can create memorable experiences. I think one of ours is really truly learning the customer from the moment that you pull up at their house. And you're talking to them now, not creeping them out saying that's a cool huge TV, that's a amazing motorcycle, like with everything that you're picking out big, huge, expensive items. We actually had a customer that told us she had a company that did that to her and it just creeped her out. But it's
That's
like, hey, you like, for instance, St. Louis Cardinals? That's amazing. So who's your favorite player? Stop that. Who's your
Mhm.
favorite player? And really carrying on conversations about things that they like. Their dogs. Most people love their dogs. You can tell if they're spoiled princesses. And really doting on the dog is one great way to really truly tailor your service to create that memorable experience for that customer. So, what are some other things that you can think of that? What did Brandon say? Shout out a local nonprofit that supports people in times of need. Ground Zero Grace, repairing or replacing appliances. That is huge, absolutely
Mhm.
huge, and a thing that is definitely needed in all areas, whether it's appliance or any of them.
Hmm.
Um,
So
each EJ or Jenny, who wants to go first? How do you personalize? How have you personalized your service?
go ahead, EJ. You were going to say something.
Well, I don't know exactly the answer, but just the fact that this is on the list is what's impressive to me. I have core values for my business, and I have 3 brand promises. And it's basically the whole thing that boils down to what separates us from everybody else. It's what we stand for. And number 2 on the list is service focused on your individual appliance need. Like, I'm not going in there with a motive to fulfill my own needs. I'm here to solve your problem and help you solve yours. It's, sometimes replacing is better than repairing. Sometimes a cheap get you by fix is what they actually need. It might not be the best thing for them to do. It may not be what they want, but it may be what they need. And sometimes they need all of the other stuff. Maybe that's what they want. Maybe they want the best of everything. They want you to completely rebuild their machine, whatever it is. But you were mentioning some of the other things, like how you come up to the door. Do you have the energy? I come up energetic and I feed off of their energy. If they are not into the high energy or the enthusiastic approach, I'm gauging if they're a relational customer or a transactional customer. So I understand how they want to communicate. And then I modify how I act and treat them accordingly. I still treat them with respect and kindness and care. But if they don't want to be engaged the entire process, then I don't make them.
Yep.
I just make the most of every interaction that I have, because I'm trying to give them something that they will feel comfortable with, that makes them feel good about what they're doing.
I feel like a good definition to round up what you're saying there is to have a servant's heart. 100%. That is 100% a servant's heart, because everybody needs to be served differently. And you're not going in there for you, you're going in there for them. You're there to educate them and help them with their situation, with how they can, with the means that they have. So very much so, having a servant's heart is a huge way to personalize the service.
And I feel like that starts with the phone. As soon as they call in, I know a few weeks ago before Logan went back to school, she got a call from a woman who had an insulin person that needed insulin in her house, and her refrigerator was going bad. And she really needed that to be fixed. And we really did not have time, and we were booked up. And Logan just said, but it's sweet old lady Bernadette, and we have to help her. Like, she just felt like, we have to figure this out. Like, we have to help this woman. She's like this sweet old woman, and she needs her insulin for her husband, I think. And, it's just like, really, she felt it. And so the people who are answering your phone, it starts there, like with them caring and letting the customer know they're cared for. And then it ends with kind of where I was going to go with it, is some of your best opportunities to seal the deal on making people feel how much you care is when something goes wrong. And so we have a money back guarantee, and we have had several people say, gosh, we thought we were going to have to argue with you. And we're like, nope, if we're not, like, we didn't figure it out, or you choose not to repair it or whatever, like, we're not forcing a repair on you. And like, sometimes, you try one thing and then you realize after you try that it was something different. And it's not because you misdiagnosed it, but there were 2 things wrong and you didn't realize it. And afterwards, the expense of repairing it is too much for what they wanted to do before they replaced it, and they decide they're not going to do it. So you have a choice there of saying, well, you have to pay for the first repair or whatever, or you can just give them their money back and save that relationship with that customer. And then you better believe you're going to get way more money back from that transaction than you lost giving them their money back, because they're going to tell everybody how wonderful you are and how honest you are. And that reputation is worth so much.
100%. And that right there rolls us into the next one, which is building trust through transparency. Talking about building trust through honesty, clear communication, which also puts a long-lasting trust of your company that's out there. And Jenny, what you displayed there was really, truly just that. Which take care of your customers, and not just say that you're going to take care of them. I mean, many times I've had to fire companies that we work for because they will say that they're going to take care of the customers, but they really truly don't, which in turn affects my team.
It's
But we
embarrassing.
also, yeah, it is hugely embarrassing. And there has been, even whenever we were discussing if we would bring on specific companies in this area, there were companies that Jason and I discussed, and I'm like, I never want to answer the phones for them because I never want to pick up the phone for that company and it be somebody that I know and that company has ripped them off because they didn't show up or they didn't deliver what they paid for or whatever it may be. I can't do that. Um, we stood on values on our with service detectives. Our customers were taken care of. We did what we said we were going to do. And it doesn't matter to me if the company is in the same area or if it's on the other side of the United States. I don't care. Um, so in your, beside, like you said that one there, EJ, can you think of any other way that you can help build trust with that, with
Well,
clients?
I could talk about this one for an hour, but
Let's not do that.
I mentioned 3 brand promises. This is number 3. Clear and frequent communication throughout the process. And part of that came from uh, the book Effortless Experience. And, if you know what your customer is expecting, they expect to call and then you show up and it's fixed, right? And if there's any gap in that, which there is inevitably, even if it's an hour gap, they wonder if you're coming. They wonder if you're going to be trustworthy, if they're going to feel safe in their home, if you're going to rip them off. And I'll tell you, the first impression is huge for me. And I know the guys talked about it on Tuesday, Mike and Jason. I believe in the first impression is not when I get to the door. And it's not even when you answer the phone. It's whenever they hear about you or see you online while they're searching.
Yep.
And really the full trust comes with that consistency. So if you have a great website or a great Google profile or a great reputation,
Reviews.
and the reviews, if it gets the hook in, okay, they're interested. Every experience that they have with your company up until you're done has to match that same level.
Right.
So if you're going to draw them in, this ain't no catfish game. When you answer the phone, my office help answers the phone with energy. They communicate with the customers with empathy that I would if it was me answering my own phones. They care. We're getting them on the schedule as soon as possible. We let them know the help is on the way. Then they get the text messages throughout the process. We got you scheduled. Here's your time frame. EJ's on his way. Here's some information about us. Don't forget to ask about the discounts. And then when I show up, I look the part. My van looks the part, and then we're friendly. There's another piece that adds to that trust of the consistency that they've. Yeah, I get distracted.
Cheesy. Way to be cheesy,
So,
Jason.
so then when you are in the house, I don't have to work as hard to build that trust. All I got to do is maintain it and just give them that same care that every step of the way they have felt. And when I go to give them a price or tell them what's wrong, it's there. Now, as far as the building the trust in the home, even everybody knows you're there to sell them a repair, and everybody's got their guard up because they're going to be sold.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was a customer that we went to on Tuesday, and this just kind of stuck out to me. It was a microwave repair. She needed a switch, an interlock switch. The guys that are watching, they know what I'm talking about. But then she was like, I don't know, is it worth fixing? It's, with her discounts, it was going to be two something. And I just said, you know what, you can buy a fridge or you can buy a microwave for just a little bit more. You're going to have to get it here. If you're not going to install it yourself, you have an install cost. But it's a matter of what you're looking for. If you want a new one, I can sell you a new one, or you can go get a new one. We'll install it for you. But this one matches your oven. It works after I fix it. There ain't nothing wrong with it. We can be done with this today. And then she says, okay, I also have the wrong glass tray in the microwave. And I said, now that I'll help you with. I'll get you a part number and you can order it on Amazon. I'll have to charge you too much, but you can buy one on Amazon for probably 20 or 25 bucks. And bam, there it is. I'm not trying to just line my pockets.
Yep.
I'm giving her service on her individual need that will benefit her. She's not going to be able to buy a interlock switch and replace her microwave by herself, but she can buy the tray by herself. And then she brought us downstairs to her washer and dryer, and both of them needed repaired. There was no conversation. There was no discussion about prices. It's just here's what it'll take. It's okay, do it. She wasn't skeptical anymore. So different little things that you can do to build the trust and with transparency.
And in that, the next one is creating a culture of excellence. But for me, the excellence reflects back to, like, EJ, you're a business owner. How are you showing this excellence so that your team can also show that same excellence? Are you taking what you are building and putting that in the mindset of your team? So leaning into that direction as far as, what are some best practices for us to get our team just as excited as we are? What AJ, what are some thoughts behind that? Like, what are some things that you have done to try to instill that same level of excellence with the rest of your team?
Well, I think a lot of places talk about culture. And, I've had plenty of jobs in my past, and I'm sure some of you have as well. And you go in the first week, it's all about culture, and we want to do this and that. And then they show you something different. So I'm onboarding a new tech this week. And, we talked about a lot of the orientation stuff, but then when we talked about the mission, vision, and values, thanks to Ginny at Outcome Academy, I had this awesome sheet made up with everything. So it's the first person I was able to onboard and just show them something that looks really pretty. And we went through it, and I'm going through the core values and the brand promises, and I sit up. And I'm looking him in the eye. And I'm like, this is why this is important. And it gets that enthusiasm, the passion that I created EJ's not for money. It was a sense of purpose for me to serve others. And you guys know, watching me, that you get that. So then when I go on the ride-alongs, I'm still doing ride-alongs. I don't have somebody else doing the ride-alongs for me, but I talk about it as we're going down the road. Mm-hmm. We pre-diagnose, and then when we leave, I'm talking about different things that I did or heard and said uh, to make them feel served. And, it's, you talk about it, you read it, you put up the posters, but are you actually doing it?
Mhm.
And I'll tell you, everybody that has come to work with us at EJ's and the people that are on my team stay. They come and stay for this. They feel the passion. It's a good environment, a good culture. We're not all about making a lot of money, but we're going to, and we're going to have fun. And we can go to sleep every night knowing that we've taken care of people. We whatever crap's going on in our lives, and we feel like a failure in all these areas. Uh, we can know that we serve people and we treated them well. Uh, and if you don't, you're not going to fit in. You're going to find your way out. So
Mhm.
it's not any one of those things, but you have to show it. I feel like I'm tearing up right now, and that's what I do when I'm talking about this stuff.
And that's because it's genuine.
And,
Like you're not just saying all that to make money. You really feel that and it shows.
mhm.
Yeah.
and I make sure that they know that they
Mhm.
feel it. So now I'm gonna get comfortable again.
So Jenny, is there anything that you guys do particularly like you've only hired Will, so Will's been your only other technician, but when you brought him on board and even he's been with you for a while, is there anything that you're doing that um, specifically that is teaching him the importance of the culture, if you want to say the excellence that I know that you guys portray with your company?
Yeah, I think some of the best learning times are when you have a really difficult customer and their expectations are outrageous, or maybe they're not nice, or they have things going on in their home that are unexpected or don't align with your values and things like that. How to treat those people with the same level of respect and dignity and care that you would treat people who do align with your values and are maybe like a nice, cheerful woman like Miss Bernadette, like that I was mentioning. We all have customers that we're like, ugh. And I see people commenting in the Alliance Facebook group about walking into unexpected situations. And some people say, I walk right out. And some people go in there and care for them anyway. And that's your opportunity to serve the least of them. Like EJ was saying earlier, um, not every customer is going to be easy and friendly and polite. Some people are going to be really hard. And one of our culture things that Joe nails home constantly is that it's misplaced anger. Something's going on in their life that's really
Mhm.
hard. Their wife just got diagnosed with cancer. They just got a $1,000 vet bill and they're trying to decide whether to help their animal or put it down. Everything broke at once. There's all kinds of things that happen in people's lives that make them grumpy or hard to deal with you because they've just had it. And that appliance was the last thing that broke the camel's back and they're just miserable. And giving those people a chance and serving them at that compassionate and super high level, that's what we do hammer home. And we also use the phrase or the sentence, we go out of our way to do the right thing. So that integrity, it matters. And so that culture of just caring, like EJ was saying, and also doing the right thing, even when you don't feel like it,
Yep.
one thing, it's kind of a weird thing to talk about because you expect people to have integrity, but we always tell everybody, we've talked about this with not just our technician, but always assume that you're being watched. Always assume there's a camera watching what you're doing. And just, if you don't think about the camera, God's watching what you're doing. So just have
Mhm.
integrity,
Yeah.
treat somebody's home, especially if they give you a key or let you in and nobody's there, like you better pretend like they're sitting there watching you because they might be. And regardless, you should be doing
Never
the
know
right.
where the nanny cam is.
You don't. And you don't want to be that guy or gal that is on the news doing something weird. Probably not stealing, but doing something weird. So just, be mindful of that. And so we have those conversations, but I don't think we really need to say those things to Will, but it's worth having those conversations with your technicians because
Yep.
what's obvious to you isn't always obvious to somebody else.
I'm going to derail
Right.
us for a second, but I watched one of those videos, like BBC or something, where they did a hidden camera, and they caught an appliance technician working on a dishwasher on an island, like the kitchen island. He took a cup out of the dishwasher and peed in it from his knees, and then rinsed it out in the sink and then put it back in the dishwasher. Like, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. It's so weird.
Anyways, Jason just said, "Wow." Okay, so there was one more point which we're like getting close to our hours, so we definitely want to just hit this up as quickly as possible, and that's learning from feedback. Back in 2005, 2006, when Jason and I were really really starting to take over my family business, we had an accountant who also worked as a business coach, who gave us a book called a customer complaint is a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that I have a copy of it still. And sometimes you have your 3%ers, you can't help those 3%ers, but it's still listening to those 3%ers and what can we do with this complaint? Although not every complaint is justified, but it's still a gift. What can you do with that complaint? How do you treat that complaint? What are you going to do moving forward to try to eliminate as many people from joining that 3%ers, is what we call them, as possible?
Well,
And
if it's a Google review, at the very least, it's a chance to show how you respond to negativity and like to shine in your response. Like at the very least, even if they're wrong and you're a really
yeah,
nice person when you respond, then that shows something about your company. So sorry to interrupt you, but I was
100%.
just thinking about
No, no,
that.
no,
Like
you're fine.
when
That was
somebody
good.
blasts you, that is a gift because you get a
And
chance to show that you're a really nice person and you're level-headed and you're not gonna fly off the handle right back at them.
100%. We had about probably around 2015 or so, we had a company in our area that sold a product that service company used. I won't say what it is because we don't have a small area, so I don't want anybody Googling. And they got several very bad reviews on there, and it was, you go and you read the responses. It was, you did this, it's your fault, you didn't do this, it's not our fault. It was the response of the owner. So really truly taking the time to respond professionally, that was bad. It was really bad. EJ, do you have anything else to add to get when you get feedback and what you want to suggest doing with that?
Well, I'll just add my take on what you guys said, and when you quoted Jason there of the negativity being misplaced anger, sometimes the complaints are. Uh, Try your best to not take it personal,
Mm-hmm.
and to me, it's what I've learned the most about empathy is to be slow to anger and try to understand where it's actually coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Uh, you know, they're in the middle of a crisis. Whether you think a dishwasher that don't work is a true crisis or not, it is for them. Whatever it is. Like I thought the ice maker not working. You got one in the freezer. What's the big deal? I could easily do that. Uh, but understand what the actual underlying thing is, and they're just spiraling.
Mm-hmm.
At that moment, they need somebody to care for them, to help them. And I kind of think about my son Everett. He has autism, and he has meltdowns. And I had meltdowns. I didn't have autism, I don't think, but he's frustrated at sometimes when things don't go right and he don't know how to explain it and communicate. And early on, the occupational therapist told us weighted vests work. Well, that just sounded corny to me. Okay,
It's a hug.
but what is it do? It's a hug.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I can't hug every customer. I'm not saying I haven't hugged customers. There's customers that's asked me for hugs, and there's a couple customers I just said I need a hug. Uh, you know, after going through what we just went through, I need a hug too, uh, because I care. And you know, if you can hug them with your service, let's say that,
Mm-hmm.
and just truly care for them and receive it. Now, the negative reviews is a little different because it's already gone at that point. Like your chance of winning them is very slim. But you do need to show people how you respond. In the pre-roll, Shayna was talking about their team reading the book Extreme Ownership, and that's by Jocko Willink. It's much better as a audible book. It's fun to listen to. But the thing is, if you can own your mistakes and accept the criticisms, however they come, and then respond to it, you're you're the winner. And it ain't about winning and losing. It's not about I'm gonna show them right. Uh, Respond with care and love and maturity. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
I have been guilty of spiraling myself, and the best thing is when somebody comes and just settles it down. You know, we do that with our friends. You know, me and Zach specifically. TK's been doing it a little bit now too. As life gets hard, uh, call a friend and vent. Somebody that you trust, uh, and then yeah, them two have each other. And you know, we have our people that we really trust, and then we call each other out. All
Mm-hmm.
right,
Yeah.
Yep.
I've heard you. Now what? Now what are you gonna do?
Now what are you going to do? Well, I think there is one thing that I feel like summarizes all of this because everything in here that we talked about today was not about us. It was about others, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in doing that, you're also and how your actions, you can also show people God's love through that. So Jason's core purpose, which actually floods down into my entire family, our family, is love God, love others, and make disciples. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Love God and then go love others. And by loving others and pouring out his love to them through your actions, it can actually do good in this world. And
Just gave
it
me
can build.
chills because he doesn't just say it; he just did it in a
Yep.
really big way a few weeks ago. So
Yeah.
mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, big respect, Jason.
Yep. 100%. So that's what we got for today. So that's
All
it.
right.
AJ, you want to take it away?
Yeah, yeah, I'll do it. Uh, we got the mastermind coming up on Saturday, right before PSA. You don't
Woo-hoo.
want to miss this. I don't care if you know marketing or not. If you got somebody else doing your marketing, other than ITD web design, uh, if you do it yourself, join in because you're probably going to learn something anyways. I like to listen to other people talk and see what I can learn. And of course, I love teaching. Uh, and that's what Mike's doing this Saturday, Marketing 101. So to get in, you get in free with your all access membership at servicealliancegroup.com at the top. And we want to see you at PSA as well. We're going to be leading classes. We're probably going to have some kind of meetup, whether it's official or not. We had some conflicts with the schedule So we're not really sure what's going to happen, but stay tuned for that. Uh, and as always, I want to give the shout outs to the ladies. Jenny at Outcome Academy. Uh, Not only does she run an appliance repair business with her husband, but she helps other people run their businesses. And she really comes at it with the angle of love and serving. So it's not salesy in any way, it's not gimmicky. She puts her true passion into it. And I'm in the middle of it right now. I just got to module 3
Nice.
right. So we're going through that. And of course, my office help is my office help team.
And
That
mine.
handles the phones for me and so much more. And I'll tell you, they really do care. I get comments frequently about how nice the people were on the phone and that they actually care and they went out of their way to make the appointments happen. And I'll tell you, everything I've asked for, they've given and exceeded. Uh, so check out my office help. It's worthwhile, especially if you're answering your own phones. Thank you, Jason. We're looking forward to seeing you too. A little less of you out here. Jason's lost 30 pounds so far, so
Wow.
we're all going to see a little less of him every day. Thanks for the joke, Shayna. I stole it. Uh, Tune in tomorrow for the morning grind, uh, and we'll see you at PSA next week.
I can't wait.
Yay.
Need to hug you guys.
Bye, guys.